The law provides for elections to be conducted not more than 90 days before and not less than 30 days to the end of the administration. February 14th is closer to the 90 days before the end of the tenure. And we raised it with INEC. We said, look, there is a problem. If you've had a year plus, and all we've been able to do is distribute, I think, about 50% of the cards. We still have about 30 million, according to them. We have about 30 million cards to distribute. Look at the possibility of shifting this thing and doing it when everybody has a card. Because it doesn't cost you anything, it's still within the law, and it is safer for all of us. So that is what we are encouraging. They keep assuring us everybody will have his card, but I doubt it. If in 1 year you've distributed 30 million, I don't see how you'll distribute another 30 million in 2 weeks. It doesn't make sense. But there is nothing wrong with us delaying to ensure that everybody who ought to vote gets that card to vote. Because the comment every day we hear is, you can't vote without a permanent voter's card. Now, if you can't vote without a permanent voter's card, what sense does it make to vote 3 months early when 30 million people whose cards have not been issued are still with INEC? That's my position. So INEC makes the determination. If you can distribute those cards today, we will all be happy. But if you can't, please consider. Look at this, look at the other.
That's the National Security Advisor, Mr. Sambo Dasuki, who was advising here at that forum there in London, the Chatham House. And one would think that really, is there any security situation surrounding the issue of PVC distribution? But coming from him, I guess one has to listen to a man of that stature. And of course, I will remind you that at the moment, INEC says it has over 60 million permanent voter cards, out of which it has distributed over 40 million, and over 20 million is still lying uncollected. This is a major one. Professor Akinyemi, can the issue of permanent voter cards, as raised by the National Security, the NSA, cause any form of violence?
Before I answer your question directly, can I answer a question you didn't ask?
No, go ahead, sir.
I'm so upset, I'm so disturbed that we will turn Nigeria into a banana republic. If Colonel Dasuki has this statement to make, why go and make it in London? We have so many research institutes in Nigeria. He could have used one of those platforms. Equally, before Kerry decided to come here, General Buhari was going to go to Washington in the middle of a hot presidential election campaign. And you open the newspapers every day and somebody is threatening to take Nigeria before the European Union, before ECOWAS, before the UN, before this, before that. Why should we turn Nigeria into a banana republic? When did we degrade ourselves to this level that sensitive and strategic statements like the NSA made will be made in London? It upsets me. Because really, this is not the country of which I was a foreign minister. This has been reduced to an African village politics. That's the first point I'd like to make. The second point is, he's raised a valid point about the preparedness of INEC. And there are other big issues. In addition to the issue he has raised, has been the issue of, Maiduguri was attacked today by Boko Haram. The army beat back the attack. Do you know Boko Haram's program between now and February 14th? To me, it's like booby traps are being set, not only for INEC, but for Nigeria itself. Because I can see issues being taken to the court after the elections. Elections couldn't be held in this state, and that state happens to be the state where my supporters are. Therefore, the legitimacy of the results are in question. Therefore, these results are not acceptable to me. And I would have expected that, in addition to the Abuja Peace Accord, that they will also midwife a meeting of the major political parties to say these are the issues on the ground. INEC, can you guarantee that all these PVCs will be in the hands of voters? 1. 2, security men, can you, behind the camera, give us an assurance that you will have driven Boko Haram out of Adamawa, out of Yobe, out of Borno, a week or 2 weeks before elections are held, so that voters will have the confidence that in the past 14 days, there have been no military action by Boko Haram. Can you give us that assurance? And depending on what they say, Buhari will look at Jonathan eye to eye, eyeball to eyeball, and say, if that's the answer they've given, if that's the answer INEC has given, if that's the answer the security forces have given, I suggest we do ABC. And the president will say, I either agree with you or I disagree with you. But if we reach agreement here, then you can't then go to the Supreme Court later and say, because elections were not held in this place and in that place, I'm not accepting the result. So these are time bombs that are there. And I think that's what motivated Sambo to say what he said in London.
So you foresee some level of constitutional crisis
yes,
in this election, no matter what happens,
I do.
wherever the result swings?
Yes, I do. I have no vested interest, apart from being a Nigerian who wants to take pride in peaceful elections, acceptable elections. We saw what happened in Kenya, not in the last elections, but the previous ones. I don't want my country to get that kind of image. There are vultures out there, not in Nigeria, I mean, internationally, who are just waiting to say, see Nigerians behaving like animals, see Nigerians killing themselves. They cannot have a presidential elections. There is a vacuum. There is this, there is that. You know, there are issues actually which cannot be resolved by the judiciary, which the wisdom of elders should have led Jonathan and Buhari to meet eyeball to eyeball and have an understanding. All these people who are, who sit in Lagos and Abuja, busy issuing press conferences and screaming at the top of their voices, how many of them have been to Maiduguri? How many of them know the security in that area?
Do you think that going ahead with this election will help? Would you advise for a postponement of the polls based on some of the issues that you have raised?
No. My advice has been limited, very limited. Let President Jonathan, General Buhari, and their leaders meet, call the INEC chairman, Professor Jega, call the security service chiefs, and ask them point blank, can you guarantee security in the northeastern states? Jega, can you guarantee that you will distribute 95% of the PVCs? If, depending on the answers they give, let our leaders meet in conclave, as the Catholics will say, and then come out and say, this is what we have agreed among ourselves. Give us that assurance.
All right. Well, we take a moment here, and when we return, Professor Akinyemi will be talking to me about the issues in the northeastern part of the country. Can we have elections in those parts of the country? And again, what has become of National Conference recommendations. These are some of the issues that he will be talking to me about. Don't go away. Stay with us.